Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to Sports Timeout. Ken and Joe back at you on this Saturday evening, prior to the Ottawa Senators and Toronto Maple Leafs. And we're going to talk for the first half today. We're going to talk Maple Leafs and kind of just opine about what, as usual, what we think we need to work on. And in the second half, we got a special guest star coming on. And Ken, you're going to be speaking with Joe Tilley of CTV, CFTO sports fame. So looking forward to that. Ken, how you been?
I'm doing great, and I'm always happy to be on here with Joe Moyer. But yes, I am excited to be flying a little bit solo. You're giving me the reins today, and I'm going to be on with my friend Joe Tilley of not only CFDO and CTV sports anchor, but he's also has a very good podcast named The Great Canadian Sports Show. If you got a chance, he has all the great. I mean, his last person that was on there was Mike Palmetier. So if you're a Leaf fan, you're gonna love that one for sure. So look it up. It's a great show.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ken, for arranging that. All right, let's dive right into it here. We got Ottawa Senators tonight. The Leafs are coming off a win, 5-4 over the Dallas Stars. Lots of mixed reviews about this team. Lots of rumors, lots of trade rumors. It's that time of year now going into the home stretch. I think they have 34, 35 games left. So until the trade deadline, lots of talk. I'm going to start with your thoughts, Ken, on our goalie situation. So I'll give you my opinion, and then you can agree or disagree and weigh in. So I'm thinking Ilya Samsonov, he's playing okay, seeing a few cracks in the armor, not playing as lights out as he was. My opinion, and he's getting a lot of games. Martin Jones, we're hoping is going to be seeing the net very soon, if not tonight. I'm wondering, is he being showcased, do you think? And are the Leafs crossing their fingers to think, if he can get on a bit of a run and get hot come trade deadline, there's a bit of a salary cap relief we could get if some other team wants to pick him up because he is a free agent next year.
Well, what are they going to do? Because Joseph Wool, to my knowledge, he's not back until possibly now the end of February. So that's not a good thing in Leafland. Maybe it would be a little bit easier call leading up to that early March day that Joseph Wool has a bit of a stretch of games that we're confident that he can take the reins. I mean, what are we going to do? Trade for Marc-Andre Fleury? And uh, I really don't understand or know how that's going to really work. Yes, Samsonov has played well enough actually to win some games, and he does have, I believe, a 2.12 goals against average over those games. But I agree with you. My glass half full was a little bit getting empty on me, and my patience were tested with a few not goals that were kind of just hit off him and then laid in front and kind of little backhand shots under him. I guess the best example of that would be in the Islander game, Pierre Engvall's goal. I feel that a goalie that's playing hot would probably have saved that one.
Well, listen, are you going to send Martin Jones back to the Marlies this year? And why are the Leafs being so cautious with Joe Wall? I'm thinking that they see a Joe Wall, Martin Jones combination leading into the playoffs because they both have proven themselves this year. Are you going to send Martin Jones to the Marlies? Like, and you're not
You
going to send
can't.
Joe Wall.
You
So
can't.
someone's got to go.
Man,
So I'm thinking that this is a good opportunity for Mr. Samsonov to maybe catch on with another team that's looking for goaltending depth. Maybe not as a one, but maybe a 1B second and see if he can get a fresh start.
I do want to say, like I've said to you a few times on here, Joe, um, the fact that Joseph Wool and Martin Jones combined are a $1.6 million contract. Right there is a pathway forward to be able to carry all three goalies if need be. Because if you put either Wool or Martin Jones down through waivers, they're not clearing after the showing that they've had this at times this season. Someone's going
Let's
to
move
pick them
on
up.
to absolutely exactly my thoughts. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something brewing there. Let's move on to the defense. Timothy Liljegren. Every year, this will be the year he needs to take the step forward. I just don't see it. Can we please consider moving on from Timothy Liljegren? I just don't see enough good out of him for someone that supposedly is touted as having so much
Every trade rumor
offside.
yeah, every trade rumor I do see, Timothy Liljegren seems to be involved in that trade. So you might get your wish there. He would probably have to move out if we're going to bring back as rumored, someone like a Tanev and a Hannafin package. Yes, Liljegren is going to be the guy moving out, and possibly TJ Brody might be also involved in that package, maybe in a three-way deal that maybe he lands like somewhere like Chicago or Anaheim.
Well, TJ Brody, this will be his last season with the Leafs. I cannot see him re-signing. He is going to be a free agent, and you can see on the downside of his career, excellent workman, a great defenseman, but I think his better days are behind him. So I think, and I don't think you're going to see Gio next year. So there's three defensemen gone for next year. I got to tell you, Simon Benoit, you and I talked a lot about him before he was somebody. He has really taken this town by storm and been a stalwart on defense. And thank goodness for him because he has stepped up. He's exactly what the Leafs need. So that's a
Yeah.
pleasant surprise for sure.
Yeah, I've seen out there in Twitter, or better known as X now, I guess. People are calling for a 5 to 6 year contract for Mr.
Oh, of
Benoit,
course.
sitting at around $2 million. So if we can get that
Wow.
deal done, then let's do that deal.
5 or 6 years. Okay. Well, that's a big one for sure. I wouldn't mind a 3 year deal with that and see how it goes. But anyway, I think it's safe to say that next year our defense, no matter what, is going to look drastically different uh, by necessity. All right. William Nylander finally got off the schneid, scored a couple. I got to say, not been happy with his play at all since he signed that big contract. Did not look anywhere remotely near the same player, wasn't driving the net, wasn't carrying the play. I was saying, oh, here we go. All the worst fears that you and I talked about once he signs the contract, does he put the foot off the gas? But you know what? He had a good game, 2 goals. Let's hope he doesn't fall into
I
that
I
trap
like
of
I like to add John Tavares, Ryan Reeves, and aren't they looking a little better too? Since people have been talking about them, Ryan Reeves seems to be adding in. He scored that goal, and I almost thought he was going to score another one in that Dallas game. He came really close. He was playing a good game in his minutes that he's out there, which isn't a lot, right? So the fourth line seems to be grinding it out, and I was thankful for their play in that Dallas game. Although I thought that score was a little too high. We don't want to be going into the playoffs still having to outscore teams 5-4.
absolutely. You're listening to Sports Timeout with Joe Moyer, Ken Judge on 102.9 Whistle FM, talking things Leafs tonight. Let's talk about that because good news. Marner, Neil, Tavares, all scored, and Austin Matthews, of course, but no one else. There is just no secondary scoring on this team. But Bertuzzi, what's he got? 30 games now without a goal. He's getting chances every night. 5.25 million.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say, unless he sets fire in the playoffs, this will probably be his one and only with the Leafs this year. And he'll be having to try to figure something out for next year because he just cannot bury the puck
well, you can
to
add
save his
Domi
life.
to that list, and David Kemp and Bobby
Matthew
McMahon
Nyes,
and
yeah,
Matthew Nice. There's so
Matthew
many
Nyes, who's
lists I've seen. It's
playing with Marner and Matthews and has no goals, no points. Like, is it time to move off of Matthew Nyes in that line? I know I was a big proponent. He started out well. I think Domi's got to go on that line with Marner and Matthews and stick him there for 4 or 5 games. Let's see if we get him going. And there seems to be some chemistry with Marner and Domi.
And there's still rumors that we're going to pick up a third line center, and that could really change things up. I guess we're in a wait and see pattern right now, Joe, but like everyone else. But it's going to be really interesting. I hope for coming into the next month. And again, Brad Treliving is usually not a guy that's going to completely stand pat. He does make trades, although he does shy away from using his first round draft picks. He is a manager that likes to protect that draft pick. So again, I don't see Nyes moving. I don't see Cowan moving. We have the guys who are on the Marlies, like Niemela and Teravan, as well as Minton, I guess, is the one that everyone's asking for. So it's going to be really interesting seeing what's going to happen leading up to March 8th.
Well, listen, I've said this before, and I think we need to talk about it. There has to be a conversation with John Tavares in the offseason. And that conversation has to say, John, we love you. We'd love to see you retire a Leaf. How about you agree to let us trade you to a contender next year? They'll eat your contract, or we'll eat a big portion of it. Once that year's done, you sign back on with the Leafs. Obviously, it'll be at a cheaper deal. By then, Austin Matthews is captain, and by then we'll have some money to get some assets to surround you, and that's when you go for the cup. You have to have that conversation. As it stands now, four guys making 11, $12 million. It's not sustainable. It's not working because we don't have enough secondary scoring. We don't have a proven number one goaltender, and we don't honestly have a proven number one defenseman. So there's a lot of question marks. I think you got to have that conversation and see if at least he'll bite.
Mm.
He's going to come back to a Leaf team that's going to have better players, and he won't have the pressure being captain, and he'll have a better chance of winning the Stanley Cup, retire as a Leaf. What do you think?
I don't disagree with you at all, but I'm not so sure John Tavares is going to want to move off away from his Toronto area home, and his family's set up pretty good here now.
Go to
Um,
Buffalo. Go to Buffalo for a year, help out the young guys, and then come back a year later. You'll have a better team.
you might
And
have to send him to a contender for him to want to go, or maybe somewhere warm. Maybe he'll like California, or maybe he'll like Florida. But let's not send him to Tampa Bay or Florida Panthers, please.
is he winning a Stanley Cup this
Carolina.
year or next year with the Leafs? Odds are no. But does he get a better chance 3 years from now if we can get some good surrounding players? Or do you trade Mitch Marner? He's the only one that doesn't have a no trade contract right now. You can't trade anybody else.
I think he has
So
a
maybe it's he
modified.
should move.
Does he not have a modified 10 team now? Or he might have a
Well,
full as
Nylander
of
has
this
a
past
full.
summer.
Matthews has a full. So, and Tavares has a full. So the only one I can see you can move, and if it's 10 teams, that's better than none, is Mitch Marner in the offseason to try to get something. We can't have four guys, four forwards making all this money. It's not working.
Well, to be honest, I've heard rumors and people who have stated that it's quite possible that Mitch Marner would waive. I think he does have a full no movement as of the past summer. It was 10 team, and I think it became a full before the start of the season. But if you can show him a path to somewhere where he's going to go and excel, it's a good chance that he just might waive that and have a chance to get out of the fishbowl that is his hometown.
All right. Last but not least, before we take the break, your Super Bowl prediction this week.
Wow, Jesus, Joe. And that's a tough one because you know what? I've never been a San Fran fan, but I'm sure not a Taylor Swift and Kelsey fan or Kansas City or Mahomes. So I'm going to have to go with McCafferty and the San Francisco Giants. That's what I'm hoping to break up the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I think it's the San Francisco 49ers. I'll correct you there. And I'm
I
with you.
did say
San
that, did I
Francisco.
not?
You said Giants.
I did.
You
That's
did.
right.
That's okay. They're giants in the NFL sport. No,
Yeah.
I'm San Fran. I got San Fran 28, KC 21. Let's just say. I'll just play it safe.
I'm going to go with you right there. That sounds like a
All
great
right.
score.
Listen, you have a good second half of the show with Joe Tilley. Ken, as always, a pleasure. We will see you next week, 5:30 on 102.9 Whistle FM.
See you next week, Joe.